You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Welcome to the One More for the Good Guys podcast, where good guys gather to shed light on the good life, the people, and the good things that make it that way. I'm Mike McGill with my co-host, Jamie Akins. Now, raise your glass, lend us your ear, and let's have one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man. Hey, everybody, McGill Billy here.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome back to One More for the Good Guys podcast. Thanks again to everyone for all the support on social media, all of our platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and, of course, on
Twitter.
Twitter. Are we on Twitter or X?
Yeah.
Great. Shows you how much I know.
Twitter.
It's over for Twitter, as our friends in the Northeast say. Over. Any rate, thanks for all your support and following us on all those social media platforms. Today, and also if you haven't shared with your friends, please do that. And if you haven't liked and or followed or subscribed, please do that as well. It's free. It will cost you nothing. And it'll just save something in your algorithm from coming up with a Santa Claus that blows bubbles out of his ass or something stupid shit like that. So if you could do that, we'd appreciate it. And it is a completely free way to help the channel. So I am smoking today. I've been under the weather for the last 2 weeks, probably about the last 2.5, 3 weeks. So today will be my first cigar in that amount of time. And
wow.
Yeah. I hadn't smoked
You sound well though.
Yeah, I do. I sound a lot better. I feel a lot better. Today's my last day of antibiotics. I've had like 2 rounds of these double black Kung Fu Chopper antibiotics, and I'm ready to be done with them.
Lee pack.
Yeah, it's the Lee
Not
pack.
the Z pack. The Lee pack.
Yeah, kicks the shit out of that crud. But I thought, since it's going to be my first day back, I'm going to probably want something that's pretty, something that's pretty light, something that's not big full flavor or full strength. And I have chosen the Monte Cristo White Label, as you can see, if you can see. I don't know if this thing catches what we're doing or not. But in the Robusto, it's a 5x52. It is a Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and Dominican fillers. And I'm going to be cutting this. I got this just the other day, and man, I'm telling you what, I told Jamie when I got this thing about a month ago how much I really, really like this cutter. But this is the Vertigo Jaws cutter. It is, I got it in the red where maybe I didn't misplace it. But if you can see, and maybe you can or maybe you can't, we might do a short on this where you can see it up close. But it has a guard back there to keep you from cutting it too much of your cigar off. So it's just going to take the cap, and man, it is super, super easy to do. It's kind of no brainer. You just make sure it's level and boom, it's right there, and it's a perfect cut every time. I recommend them for, obviously I've been smoking a long time, but I would recommend them, especially if you got someone who's a newbie. And, but even if you're, like I say, even if you've been smoking a long time, I still, I would recommend them as well to new customers and or aficionados alike. So I'm going to hopefully enjoy this one. From the last time I smoked one of these, it's been a long, long time. And the other reason I chose this, I'd gotten it in one of my cigar of the month clubs, and it's an actual Robusto, like I said, in 552. And, from the last time I smoked one of these, it's your, I don't want to say your typical Connecticut, but it's pretty standard. It's pretty straightforward. Some honeysuckle sweetness, graham cracker, very creamy, good smoke output. And so it's got some good flavor. You get some pepper in there as well. Certainly not a pepper bomb by any means, but any rate, if you hadn't had one of these in a while, there's a reason they still make a shitload of these. And
well, it's the one they hand every beginner cigar on the planet.
Yeah, and it's still a pretty damn good little cigar.
Yeah.
So, what are you smoking, Jamie?
I am smoking the San Cristobal Quintessence.
Ooh.
And I've had these a while. I bought a box of them. And when I first got them, they were a little bit bitter on the front end. You've had them, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler, I'm assuming, since it just says the rest of it's Nicaraguan. But I'll tell you what, I've had these about a year now, and this thing is incredibly good. I mean, I haven't had a cigar all week either, so maybe it's that too, but
Could be, yeah.
Or since the weekend. And man, I tell you, it's just it's creamy, but it's nowhere near as light as that.
Yeah,
and this is a much fuller flavor and strength cigar than that one. Which it's Nicaraguan, and it's Habano wrapper, so it's going to be. But yeah, man, it's very, very enjoyable. I just started it, so we'll give a little after. Review for them, but man,
and that's made for Ashton at the My Father factories.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Jedi.
So goes without saying, it's probably gonna be pretty darn good. I believe that cigar also made the top 25 list for Cigar Aficionado, maybe last year.
22, probably.
Yeah, it was last year or year before. I can't remember, but I believe it came in.
It says number 3 of 2021.
Okay, there you go. So we
got a 95. Tell you, it's very, and this is the Churchill size too, and it's just, I'm going to say it's probably 49, 7 of 49. I didn't look, but it's exactly what it is. 7 of 49, which is the traditional size, right?
Pretty close.
747.
747, 8. Yeah.
Brilliant size. This is, man, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to smoke this one down through the neb.
There you go. So since we've seen you last, we've had a few guests. We've hit you quite a bit with the with commercials and stuff with our sponsorship for the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular, which we will do again, and it's coming up on December 22nd from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Bijou Theater here in Knoxville.
Bijou.
And we've been real fortunate to have a lot of support this year from local businesses. We've had the Blom Shop down on they have 2 locations, one on Broadway and one on Kingston Pike.
And if you're not been, you need to go.
Yeah.
Great staff, great product.
They have a great selection of all the THC
stuff.
Yeah, the
THC
stuff, the good shit. And we really appreciate their coming on board this year. We also have Lost and Found Records, which is also in the North Knoxville area on Broadway, to where you can find anything vintage as far as vinyl goes, from 45s to 10-inch to 78s to full albums, and as well as reissue vinyl.
And you can take your vinyl after you buy it next door or very close and have a pizza.
This is true.
Another sponsor.
At another sponsor. Yes. I was like, where the hell's he going?
Where's he going
with
this?
Is he buying it there and selling somewhere else? Has he got a guy over by the dumpster? I don't know what he's doing. But yes, you can. You can actually, after you go visit with Maria and Mike down at Lost and Found, and you can take your vinyl that you purchased and you can walk over across the street to Harvey's Pizza and Deli. And you can grab yourself a slice, or you can get yourself a whole pizza. They do a whole menu of sandwiches. They've got a thing called the wedgie that's awfully good. And you can get happy over there, and then you go over there and get fat. So who else? Oh, yeah, our old buddies, our longtime friends and longtime sponsors of the podcast, Trailhead Beer Market. They stepped up this year as well. And you can go, they got, cold beer on tap. They have a limited number of mixed drinks. They've got some really good cold frozen drinks for summertime, as well as a patio and music.
Great atmosphere.
Great atmosphere.
I mean, you feel like
very diverse crowd.
Yeah, diverse, all ages too. It's not a,
you may see
people bring their kids all the time. I see them all the time there.
Yeah.
At your show.
Yeah.
Know. So it's a family friendly place, really. No drunks, that bullshit. It's none of that.
Exactly. And we've got a nice patio. Of course, that doesn't welcome too much right now, but in the warmer months to come, they've got a great patio, like I said, with live music every weekend, and just again, a very diverse crowd. You're going to see everything from college students to hippies to professionals, all about the board, and there's going to be a lot of UT sports fans there.
You might even see a couple of bearded rednecks.
Yeah, you might actually see a couple of old Tennessee hillbillies live and in color. Remember, back in the day, they had the bear that would drink the Coca-Cola as you went through Pigeon Forge. They used to have this bear, out on one of the storefronts that
on the left-hand side going towards Gatlinburg.
You could go up there and buy a Coca-Cola and the bear would drink it. Well, you come to Trailhead and you can see two hairy hillbillies.
They buy us something to drink.
You can buy us a beer and we'll drink it. So, big thanks to all those folks. Who did we leave out?
I bet that bear died of diabetes.
Yeah, probably. We also had our good friends from Beatty Chevrolet as well, who has come on, and they've got 12 acres of new and or pre-owned vehicles. The Griffin family's been there since Beatty's was actually downtown off of Central and Broadway. So I know the family pretty well and had worked for them in the past, way back when, and good guys. So if you've got a need for a vehicle and or service, and or they also have a full paint and body shop as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors and Riot Printing. That's right.
They did all the merch.
They did all the merchandise, and we're going to show you a little sneak peek of that here in a few things to come that we'll probably be recording today. I forgot about, but they did all the merchandise for us and donated us some things as well. So thank you. They've been a big help, and the first one to actually come on board and really help me out since we moved to the Bijou. And that was 3 years ago this year.
Should have been
4. Should have been 4, but we had the Rona. And
21 was the first actual Bijou show.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Yeah. And this will be
10, 11, 12.
The 12th.
Yeah.
But any rate, so we thank all of our sponsors, and that calls again, all of that money, as well as money from the night, all proceeds will go to benefiting Second Harvest Food Bank, Food for Kids program. And I learned a few things just the other day. I was listening
we like food and we like kids.
That's right.
Probably in that order, though.
I wrote something down just the other day. Let me find it.
Just like Bertie Mac said.
No. We can't say that one. America? Where is it? Damn it, the nations. Okay.
The Milky Cookies.
So, the Food for Kids program offers help over 18 different counties, and it's in compliance with 18 different schools across all the schools across 18 different counties. I'm going to get it right in just a minute. But I learned just the other day that, and their numbers are I believe it's 1 out of 8 children. And if you think about this, along with all the tragedy that came throughout East Tennessee, as well as through Western North Carolina with the Hurricane Helene.
Flood. Still dealing with it.
Oh, they'll be dealing with it forever.
Yep.
The need is even greater now. But 15,000, listen to these numbers, 15,412 kids get food from Second Harvest Food for Kids program every Friday. Every Friday.
Wow.
They, I'm not sure if they have a delivery system or how that actually goes, but they pack up 15,412 meals
and deliver
enough for kids to get food from Second Harvest every Friday.
Right. Deliver.
Well, I'm sure there's
somewhere.
I'm sure there's
central.
Yeah. I just don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
But
not everybody's driving to downtown Knoxville to get their.
No.
Yeah. It's an undertaking. Is what we're getting at here.
Right. Well, I mean, hell. Yeah. Unless you've been living under a rock or fell and hit your damn head, every Friday, 15,412 kids get food.
Wow. That's crazy.
It costs, well, listen to this. It costs Second Harvest $12 million a month for all the programs they provide. So, if you're talking about somebody that's doing the right thing for the right reasons and are creating and being as creative as possible to come up with new means of revenue, and they've been, unfortunately, in looking at this, unfortunately, we've had a need for these people for 20 years. Fortunately enough, they have figured out how to combat that. They have
$12 million a month.
That's what I heard on the radio the other day, because they have the double donation day, and they were doing it on AM 990. They were doing it on the Sports Animal, and the lady came on.
To me, I can't even fathom that kind of.
So if you're looking to do some kind of food drive or something like that, save it. Donate the money, because, and the reason I say that, obviously you do whatever your convictions are, but they have so much buying power with different institutions and different companies that where you go out and buy that bag of apples for $4.99, they can get 4 bags of apples for $4.99.
Right.
Because they have the ability to store it, and their buying power is so much greater than their dollar is worth more than our dollar.
That's right. So your money is going to go a lot further if you hand it to
Correct.
them for this cause.
Correct.
Even these numbers are crazy sounding. I know they're factual, but it's always crazy to me when we say every time that $20, your $20 ticket to the spectacular feed is 60 meals worth
60
of money.
meals. Yeah.
60 meals. That means
three meals to every dollar.
That's right. $1 a day.
Now, if you are just bound and determined to do something with collecting food and stuff like that on your own, then obviously start with any of your canned type of proteins, whether that goes from vegetables to whatever, beans, different things, but your canned proteins. But $20 ticket price for a 2-hour show of some of Knoxville's finest musicians. There will be Matt Woods, who's been around for as long as we have and has toured all over America doing this. I have the utmost respect, and you got to meet Matt earlier this month in one of our Good Guy episodes. Jody Manross, who's been around for a long time singing and playing, who's now runs a local business here in Knoxville. She's a medically licensed acupuncturist and holistic medicine provider, medical provider, excuse me, as well as Sarah Schwabe Robinson, who will be coming in from Minnesota, who was a longtime staple here in Knoxville as a performer with Sarah Schwabe and her Yankee Jazz Band, as well as our wonderful friends and ladies from Red Shoes and Rosin, Jessica Watson, who was on a very, very early episode of the Good Guys podcast.
Yeah, like episode 5.
Yeah. Meet Armstrong, who owns Mother Daughter Bread, that you can help out and buy all your fresh baked goods from her. And then Shauna Cyphers rounds that trio out, as well as Griffin Cavender Van, who's also another great singer songwriter from here in Knoxville.
Been on Spectacular before.
Yes,
and so
then,
have all the ladies too.
Yeah.
Though.
And then you'll also get to see our good friend, the Appalachian hippie poet, and future upcoming guest of the Good Guys podcast, Mr. Bill Alexander, along with a Cracker Jack band. That's
Michael Cover.
Michael Cover. That's correct.
It was our previous guest.
Yeah.
And all the guests, the solo guests, will be doing 2 tunes each.
Right.
So,
but we'll run a very tidy ship that night, and it'll be a 2-hour program. And big news, we will be having the folks at Barley's, where we originally started this way back in 2011, 2012. Just count back 12 years. I can't do it. But once that happens, our crowd just got so big we couldn't hold it in Barley's any longer, so we moved to the Bijou. But Barley's this year is throwing an after party at the restaurant and the bar there, and so that'll start up at 9:00. And our longtime friend Amy Knight will have her traveling photo booth there, so you can get a picture with Santa Claus and the people you attended the show with, and all the other folks that'll be in attendance. So, and that's been a kind of a tradition that we had to stop once COVID came around, and then once we got to the Bijou, the logistics just didn't put to where that would be a good fit. So I'm really excited about having that back. And we will also be showing a Christmas holiday movie on the big screen there at Barley's. So, man, $20, and you're doing a lifetime of good for some child. We've already raised a bunch of money, and we'll come up with all those numbers in a wrap-up show after the thing. But December 22nd, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Knoxville Bijou Theater. Come be with us. Again, $20 creates 60 meals. If you had a party of 5, you could feed a child for an entire year. $100 feeds a child for an entire year. So, what else are you going to do? Sit around and watch Cagney and Lacey reruns, or, some bullshit, eat Taco Bell and get fatter than you already are. So come down and see the show. Have a good time. I promise you'll be entertained and you'll enjoy yourself. And if you don't, then you probably need psychological testing and or drug advice counseling. Now, that's it. That's that about all that. As you know, on Saturdays, we've been running a special podcast since football season started up, covering the games, giving our picks, our A+ insider coverage to all this.
Oh, yeah. Have you not been impressed? Oh.
But so we say all that to preface that, you know, we made it into the 12-team playoff for the CFP, for the college football playoff, and for the tournament to go into trying to win the national championship. And you know, some folks thinks we got hosed. Some people think whatever. I'm just glad we're in. I would have certainly loved to have hosted a game here at Neyland Stadium, but we are traveling to Columbus, Ohio, and to face the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Boo.
The Buckeyes actually, it's crazy because we've only had one other matchup with Ohio State, and it's kind of hard to believe because in 1890 Ohio State football got started. In 1891, University of Tennessee football got started. Our last meeting with them was in 1996 at the Citrus Bowl, to where Ohio State just started off 11-0 and lost in the final week of the regular season to rival
Michigan.
Same way they did this year. Lost to a 5-5 or a 6-5 Michigan team.
Michigan.
At home in the shoe where everything's supposed to be tougher, so they say. And of course, after the game, you had the big melee of the flag planting, and you know, then the police got involved. Ryan Day was standing over on the sidelines like a UFO had just landed, didn't know what had happened. The entire fucking staff and players and from both teams are all in a scrum in the middle of the field, piled up like bodies from the Game of Thrones, where Jon Snow in the Long Night or what the hell ever. And he's standing on the sidelines going, what happened?
Looking concussed.
They caught him on camera. Did you see that?
Yeah, looking concussed.
Yeah. And goes, what happened? Still didn't have the wherewithal or the mind or the heart or, I mean, you know, to go out there and start dragging these players off. So the teams kept going. It got ugly. It was really embarrassing for the whole. I mean, it was really embarrassing for college football in general. Really embarrassing for them. But then police started pepper spraying football players, reporters. You know
what it was football.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, obviously, they are in a little bit of disarray because Michigan is their absolute, you know, our school is Alabama. We've played them more than any other SEC school team. We've beat them more than any other team in the, you know, it's the biggest
rivalry in college football, period. Is it not?
Well, it certainly has been made into that if it wasn't already, because, you know, I mean, even your national media and, you know, national sports reporters, they all cover it as the game.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, the game. So,
it also kind of means that there's no other in-state team in either Ohio or Michigan worthy enough of being their rival. Would you?
I guess so. I mean, they seem to. They seem to like playing Toledo a lot.
Rivalry week: Auburn and Alabama, both in Alabama.
Yeah.
It's Clemson, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vandy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Tennessee,
Michigan,
Kentucky,
and Michigan State.
That's an in-state rivalry for sure. I think they have some kind of bucket or something. The old Golden Oak piss bucket or something. I don't know, Purdue and somebody. But nonetheless, and I'm saying all that in jest. I'm not cracking on them. I'm just trying to fill time and not say so much. So don't piss me off and don't judge me. At any rate, it's a big rivalry. It's called The Game. They lost, and not only did they lose again this year, but they lost the year before and the year before that and 4 years in a row. Now, Ryan Day, as the head coach of Ohio State, is like 47-1 against the Big Ten, other than Michigan, and has lost 4 straight years to Michigan. So
he is their Phil Fulmer.
Yeah, well, I guess so, in a
Michigan
way.
Is his Florida.
Yeah, and but here's the bottom line about all of it. All the babies in Ohio, all the babies in Michigan are still going to be born naked. Okay, the sun's going to come up and it's going to set. It's a football game. And the very first time we faced them was in 1996, which was
that's the first time we faced them?
The first and only time we've ever faced them.
And what was the outcome of that?
1996 in 1996 in the Citrus Bowl. The Vols won that game, I believe, 20-14
against Ohio State and Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George.
Eddie George, that is correct. Which we'll cover here just a little bit. In that game, it was pretty much I think the heart and spirit. Fulmer was quoted as the heart and spirit of our team is what won this game. Manning was 20 of 35 passes for 182 yards. He had a touchdown to Joey Kent, and Jay Graham was named game's MVP, who had 26 rushing attempts for 154 yards, and the game-changing touchdown. Actually, the game-changing touchdown 23 seconds before the half, and we had a huge goal line stance against them in the first quarter with Heisman Trophy, with the ball being handed off and John Ward on the call. He didn't make it. Who stopped him? Duff. Bill Duff, number 50. One of my favorite.
With the stuff.
Duff with the stuff. And one of my favorite VFLs of all times. I mean, it just, I don't know what he did. His dad probably had a hardware store, and he probably, broke horses for a living. I don't fucking know what he did. I know he didn't go to the NFL. I know he's not a Hall of Fame professional football player, but he had the biggest play in one of the
and a great name.
Oh, great name. But, all that to be said, leading back to the road to Columbus, taking them on this year, I seen a list of NIL money, and Ohio State was second on the list behind Texas as far as NIL money that's been paid out. And I think that's part of the frustration, not only losing 4 times to Michigan, but, losing, spending that kind of money and having this big of a talented squad. They had still going to have a kind of
like Calamari at Kentucky.
Yeah. I renamed that school too, by the way. Ken, K-I-N, Fucky. Ken Fucky.
Calamari.
Yeah, calamari. But at any rate, they've got a banged up offensive line. They came into that game with a banged up offensive line, but they've also got a really tough defensive line, as well as So everybody says some of the most talented receivers in the NCAA. Yet Ryan Day, I guess because he wanted to prove how tough they were, they didn't throw the damn ball to none of them. It was up the middle, it was run. And I don't know, pride cometh before the fall, right? But man, if your kids can't go to school the next day because you've lost to this team 4 years in a row, I mean, I would try in my power to come up with any kind of something to be. I mean, if I had to give them 38s in pepper spray,
right? Especially since you're 3 points or whatever it was away from being the number one team in the country at that time. You beat Oregon, Ohio State's number one in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And they just,
and Michigan was anything. I mean, they weren't even subpar. I mean, they were a 500 team. I mean, got blew out by Texas at home, lost to several other Big Ten teams that any other year they would have steamrolled over.
Well, last year they was national champion.
Yeah.
So,
So my thing is this, I don't know, we've all had our guesses about what Tennessee team will show up. We had a good, strong close to this year against Vandy. Even Vanderbilt's best is really good. I mean, they beat Alabama. They should have beaten Missouri. They had them beat. Did they play LSU? I can't remember. Nonetheless, we had a really, really good showing against Vanderbilt.
Second half.
Which wasn't the typical. It wound up being the typical Vandy game that we have known for years and years by beating them all the time. But
after they returned that kick for a touchdown,
it was very uncertain. Well, there you go. There's another stupid one. Why would you kick? I mean, you got a guy that could kick it from here to fucking Chattanooga. And I don't know if it was a missed kick, if he was instructed to kick it that way. One will never know, I don't suppose, unless you've got some insider help or you're in the know. I haven't heard anything about it, but my point is we have seen Tennessee show up for halves. We've seen Tennessee show up for quarters. The only times we've seen them show up for 4 quarters in an entire game has been against the likes of UTEP or lesser opponents.
Oklahoma, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
got on them pretty. I mean,
NC State was a pretty slow first half, even. But when I say actually lesser opponents too, I mean, the Kent States,
basically Division II.
Our Lady Sister of Perpetual Sorrow, and Tennessee School for Who Gives a Shit Who Wants Them University. So what do we get? Which Ohio State team do we get? Which Tennessee team do we get? I don't know. It's I know this. I'm really glad that we're going to have 3 weeks of getting healthy, because after this season, we got banged up, and they did too. I mean, they had to start a whole new offensive line there, I think. Well, not an entirely new offensive line, but a new set of, they had to replace 2 or 3 out of the offensive line. I think about the third to last game of the season. So
yeah, I mean, if you're going to make a run, you've got to win. You got to play 4 more games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it 3? It'll be
Ohio
3. State, then Oregon. No, you
4.
You'd have to play
counting
4
the championship.
Championship.
Right.
So who wins the championship? If you're in the first round, you got to play 4 games.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I don't know any team that are playing in the first week of this new system, I don't know who are all the teams that are playing in the first.
Well, let's look.
My point is, while Jamie finds that is, I don't think any team that's not starting out with a bye has a chance to win. I mean, they obviously have a chance, but that's going to be comparatively speaking like a 16 seed making it all the way through the NCAA basketball.
It could be like
tournament.
a wild card winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, there you go. Exactly.
I mean, it's
exactly, because you're going to have to win. You're going to have, fortunately for Ohio State and for these other teams, who get to host the first one, they at least get one home game, right? But then the rest of them, 3 of them are going to be neutral site. They're going to be on the road.
Well, under normal circumstances, what you're saying, I would agree with. But 2 of the bye teams are Boise State and Arizona State. Which we're not in those brackets, of course. Neither one of those teams are in my opinion, they're not in. They shouldn't be in this. Probably they certainly shouldn't be getting a bye because.
I don't think they should be getting a bye.
Yeah, I heard this.
I'm not going to say they shouldn't be in it because all they did was win.
Yeah,
so right. You can't take that away from them.
Rewind. They should be in it based on the way the criteria is, but they are not in the top 12 teams in the country, and that's going to show. You're going to see the winner. Our bracket's the toughest because you got to play Ohio State and then Oregon if you win at Ohio State. So you've got to walk through the top team in the country to get to be the top team in the country. All right. So that's one of the games. You've got Indiana and Notre Dame. That's another one. Penn State, SMU, Clemson, and Texas. Those are the first 4 or the first round. And then the winners of those, it doesn't specify. I just know what bracket we're in. Got to face Boise State, Arizona State, Oregon, and Georgia. I'm not concerned. I'm really not worried about Ohio State like I was playing Georgia.
No,
I just don't think. I know that everybody's claiming the SEC's had a down year, and I don't really think that's the case. I think what the case is, they've just cannibalized each other, and here we are.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, South Carolina, here's a prime. South Carolina and Alabama are both better than Arizona State by a shit ton.
Yeah, I think they got a good team, but I don't think they're going to match up well.
I don't either.
I'll tell you now, I do like that Skidley Boo Boo or whatever the hell his name is with Arizona State, that running back.
Boise State's the one's got the.
Yeah, they've got one too.
Oh, so Arizona State's got a. I didn't know that.
It's Skidley fucking Boo Boos. Did you not hear what I said? I can't remember his name. It's something weird like that though. Scatabo, yeah. It's what I said.
Yeah.
Skidley Boo Boo.
Yeah. Some Cinderella shit there.
But my point being this, here's the deal. Anybody, us included, Ohio State included, those 2 teams included, 85 fucking Bears. It's going to be, you said the perfect analogy. It's going to be a wild card team winning the Super Bowl. And that ain't happened very often.
No.
82 Raiders. It wasn't
Patriots and
Patriots. There was
01.
Seemed like there was another one.
It's not. It doesn't happen
pretty
often.
recently, but it's just going to be pretty hard to do. Now, what Ohio State are we going to get? What Tennessee are we going to get? Ohio.
Sorry, I was just going to say I'm much more concerned with the second part of that.
Yeah,
I don't care which Ohio State team shows up. If the Tennessee defense plays at the level they've played, and the offense shows up that was in the second half of Vandy, Tennessee by 20. That's how much better.
I think you're 100% right. Because Ohio State finished the season at 10-2, right?
Yep.
Had a big loss, had a 1-point loss against Oregon. In Eugene, had a 3-point loss to Michigan in Columbus. Against a 5-5 Michigan team who's had their number for the last 4 years. I don't believe I'll ever have to leave that out. And then, but if you go back, there was 2 other games. Ohio State could very easily been, they could have very easily had 4 losses this year.
Ohio State?
Yes.
Well.
And I have a buddy at work who's a big Ohio State fan, and so I'm privy to a little bit more Ohio State stuff from him because we talk about it, and I'm not a complete asshole like everybody probably thinks I am, but so I listen. He's a smart football guy and has been a lifelong fan of Ohio State. And so on Saturdays when we're not opposing each other on schedule wise, I watch a little bit of their games, quarter, 2 quarters, maybe the whole game.
Just to have something to talk about.
Right. Yeah. To have something to talk about on Mondays at the water cooler,
I could do that with everybody but the Red Sox, but I see what you're saying.
But, the thing about it is they could have very, very well had 4 losses. They only rushed. And their first big loss of the year could have been against Nebraska. If Nebraska had had an offense of any kind, Nebraska would have beat them. Now I know woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's if we had a dump truck full of them, we could pull it anywhere we wanted to, right? But in that game, they only had 64 yards rushing the ball, and that's when they had their starting offensive line. Ohio State only had 64 yards rushing the ball.
That's good because that's not what we're good at, stopping the run.
And then
not directly.
Excuse me. I said 4 losses. They could have very well had 3 losses. I apologize. I was thinking about, but they handled Penn State pretty good. Which Penn State really wasn't. I mean, they're playing better now than they have at the middle or the first of the season, and I really don't see them being that damn good either. But getting back to Ohio State, you only have 64 yards rushing the ball against Nebraska. Nebraska, pressure. That kid that they thought, I can't even think of his name, but they brought him in from Kansas State because he was going to be better than Kyle McCord. And what did Kyle McCord do? Well, he got picked up by Syracuse and went up there and threw for, 6 million yards because they said he couldn't throw the ball. This kid ain't used to that. That's the key. We got to stop the run. And I don't even necessarily think you got to worry about stopping the run as much. I mean, I think they got 2 really talented backs. They got that Judkins out of Ole Miss. And then another kid out of, wherever, Steubenville, pick a city. I don't know where he's from. But both of them are very good running backs. But the putting pressure on that kid, on that quarterback, we've already seen in the Nebraska game how it works. We've seen in the Oregon game how it works because he didn't know to call the timeout. Mm. Now, on the flip side of that, Nico runs the ball out of bounds, but I think that's the big thing. You can't throw it to a wide receiver if you're laying on your back unless you're number 15 and you're Patrick Mahomes,
which should be the game plan for every defensive coordinator there is.
I would think so. It's tried and true, right? It's proven. But, so I think between that, if they're able to, and we've done that before, in 96, we did that against Eddie George, Heisman Trophy winner, first round draft pick to Tennessee Titans.
And they were undefeated before that last game.
Yeah. And I remember when Bo Jackson and Auburn came into Knoxville and we held Bo to 73 yards rushing. Heisman Trophy winner. So now I know, Mike, you're not in Knoxville. You're going to be in Columbus. And, Herb Street don't say very many things that I find intelligent and or I agree with. But he did say, and he is an ex-Ohio State player, he did say that, Ohio State might have been better off to go to Knoxville and play because, listen, they come in there and they start going 3 and out. They start making mistakes and they get behind early. That crowd's going to turn on Ryan Day like a bag full of rattlesnakes.
And you know who
they've been waiting on it. They've already turned on them.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for a good reason. They want to fire him and don't give a damn if they have to dig up Woody fucking Hayes to come back and coach.
Yeah, you could have gone over and won that Michigan job and kept your Michigan game, kept your job. But also about playing there, you know who one of the best, if not the best, traveling football team in the country is as far as fan base goes? Us.
Yeah.
And that place will be orange for quite a bit of it.
Well, they're gonna need co-signers because those damn tickets I seen the other day. I mean, for like the cheap seats are, I think they're like $500.
I bet there ain't an empty seat in the place.
No, I guarantee you. And honestly, out of the games that are going to be played on this weekend, I guess they're doing games on Friday and then Saturday, right? Or is it going to be? It's not going to be on. Surely they're not going to run those games on Sunday.
Oh, I don't.
Look at that.
I wouldn't imagine against the NFL.
Not against the NFL. I couldn't imagine they wouldn't be baseball dumb to do that.
Yeah.
I love baseball, but man, MLB is stupid.
Boy, they are.
Yeah, while he finds that, my point is, what I was going to get at was the Tennessee-Ohio State game. Well, I would put money on it that there's going to be, it'll be one of the biggest games, one of the most watched games of the year. And I certainly think it'll be the most watched game of that weekend. So,
the Tennessee
Ohio State game. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got, they're all, the Indiana game and Notre Dame's on Friday.
Okay, so that's what I said. I would think they would be doing Friday.
And the other 3 are on Saturday. Odd.
Oh, so we're going to have 3 on there. So there'll be a noon and then a midday, and then I know we're playing 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 12, 4, and 8. It's what the game times
12,
are.
4, and 8.
And 8
who's
o'clock.
Playing at 12?
12 is SMU at Penn State.
Ooh, who you got on that one?
Penn State blows them out.
Okay.
Not even close. Clemson at Texas.
Who you got on that one?
Texas by 20. And then you've got Indiana at Notre Dame. That's going to be an absolute massacre right there. Notre Dame.
Indiana's going to kill them?
Notre Dame by 30. I bet you Notre Dame kills.
So you're taking all the favorites.
Except for one.
Oh, SMU's favorite over?
Ohio State is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just talking about Friday.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I have to pick the others.
I guess so.
Well, I mean,
okay.
You know what I'm saying. I mean, we obviously were picking Tennessee, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Indiana at Notre Dame. I think that's not a good matchup for Indiana. And SMU at Penn State. At Penn State. I know that Michigan and Ohio State and those schools it's hard to play there, but I got news for you. Until about 1990-ish, 5, Penn State Stadium was the biggest in the country. Forever.
Was the
biggest stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Forever. For a long time. And it's hard to play there. And Franklin will have them up. And I think that Penn State beat and then go.
Well, he better have them up or his job's on the line. I mean,
let's talk about that too. But Clemson at Texas, come on, man. Clemson got beat by South Carolina.
And they got to go to Austin. So it's Clemson at Texas.
Yeah. Didn't Clemson lose the last game of the season?
No, they
beat us.
They beat SMU.
SMU.
To win the ACC.
And South Carolina got left at the house.
Yeah.
Well,
So I think, I'm going to pick opposite just because,
all right.
but I do think, I don't think Clemson stands a shot against Texas. And then put that over here where I can see it.
Right here, these three.
And then, at Penn State, SMU's got something to prove. And if they play the perfect football game, it might get close. Because I really honestly don't think Penn State's that good. But I'm going to tell you who's got the legitimate shot. I think Indiana's got a legitimate shot of beating Notre Dame.
Oh, do you?
I do.
I was going to say that.
Because I don't think you don't forget Northern Illinois at fucking South Bend. I don't know if they've gotten that much better, if they're believing in themselves, if it was a wake up call, or if they like the smell of their own trips to the bathroom. I'm not sure, but
this is a better picture.
I'm not sure. I think, and I say that, Notre Dame has looked pretty good, but if you go back and watch that last game against USC could have beat them. USC had them all if they'd had any kind of damn defense.
Yeah, that's true. This format's as good as any, and I'm glad we got it. But I just don't. Wonder what the odds, the Vegas odds were that 2 Indiana football teams, Notre Dame and Indiana, would be in the playoff. What's the chances of that? 1,000,000 to 1?
Oh, both of them. Yeah,
both of them, 2 Indiana teams.
No,
you'd been like everybody would have been like Notre Dame. Well, they may not even know that South Bend's in Indiana. I don't know.
Yeah, it's only about 30 minutes up the road from Bloomington,
which is where
Indiana's from. So that'll be.
So it's a home game for both of them.
Pretty much,
basically.
Pretty much, it's an interstate rival game. It is a home game. It's obviously. God,
man, we got the toughest matchup in that first round.
Oh, absolutely. Between OSU and then going to face Oregon.
I think that the Clemson-Texas game is going to be a lot closer than you think.
Well,
they better.
It could be. Don't ever. Dabo is Dabo. I'm not a Dabo fan, but if anybody could give enough damn rah-rah to get somebody up, we've seen it before, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of great coaches that I don't like, but results. That he's the only one.
They both came out of the same. For wrestling terminology, under the Ernie Ladd learning tree, they both came from Saban. So
well, you got one national title out of every coach in the first round, and it's sitting in Clemson.
Yeah,
ain't none of these other guys got one, I don't reckon.
And he's got 2, right?
Yeah. So,
Franklin don't have one at Penn State.
Notre Dame ain't had one in
Notre Dame ain't had one
lifetime
since Jesus got the frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah, their coach was 7 last time they won.
Obviously they have, but
yeah, none of the coaches there over here.
They won one with Lou Holtz.
Yeah, you've got 2 coaches.
A national championship.
Got 2. You got 2 coaches in the playoff total that have a national title. And I think Texas and Clemson is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think that the blow.
But no. Wait a minute. So that's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes. So Texas and Clemson, they get to play ASU.
Yeah, but it's just weird. They have the late teams on the bottom.
I noticed.
I looked at that and I was like, well, they're playing in Clemson.
Well, and the only reason I saw that too, and I thought, why? I guess is because the brackets in a tournament usually you're not home. So this is kind of basketball. You wouldn't necessarily be at home unless you got the
right.
We're hosting.
This would what do you do to fix this whole CFP mess for next year? What do you have you thought about that any? Or
well, I
got an idea.
Yeah, here's something I like that I think they need to change. I think that the Big 4 conference winners need to be an automatic bid, but I think that once that happens, they ought to be reseeded based on how they are. I don't think they should get automatic bye
Yeah.
because as we found out, Texas could very easily been in Georgia's place right there.
Absolutely.
So, and let's see, or who else? Well,
SMU could have been in Clemson's place.
Right, but they're both, ASU.
Right, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
So,
well, SMU could, or who's the who? No, this is it, right?
Yeah, this is it.
Right. So it could have been, yeah. Well, Arizona State, for instance. I mean, really?
Right.
I mean, here's the other problem. The problem with that is when they came up with this system, the Pac-12 still had a fucking conference.
True. That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they disbanded, but ASU gets in automatic with a bye. Now, they had to win to get in.
Right.
So we're not, I'm not begrudging any of these teams they had to win to get there. So you can't begrudge the teams that. But I think you're exactly right. I think next year.
So what are the conferences then? It's Big 10, SEC,
Big 12.
Big 12, and
Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and then whoever the hell ASU's with. I think they might be a Big 12.
Can't be. Not have a.
Well, what conference are they in?
Well, if you're saying that BYU's Big 12, Boise State's, if you're saying they're both, they wouldn't both have a bye.
Well, I don't think that's what I'm asking. What fucking one? What are they in? I'm not sure. I could be.
Can't.
I think I got that backwards. I think Boise State is they're still Mountain West Conference champions. Pretty sure.
Yeah, that app ain't gonna tell me. I have to look it up and see. I'm interested in that.
Well, no, then none of them's gonna tell you what you want to fucking know.
Hell no. Mountain West Conference.
Okay, that's Boise State.
So that's considered a Power 4 conference.
I don't know about that.
All right, Arizona State's conference is the Big 12. Why would that Boise State conference be?
It may have something to do with I'm not sure. Maybe they got added in. How did they get added in? Did they get added in when they, those 2 or 3 years they were undefeated and, the Statue of Liberty game and all that stuff?
Right. It's talking about.
But
okay, so Boise State's going to the Pac-12 next season.
Oh, so the Pac-12 is disbanded, but they're going to remake it?
I guess so.
Yeah. We'll join the Pac-12 conference in 2026. Huh. Maybe that's why they had to do it, because they said it would be a Pac-12 champ.
Guess so.
So
I don't know. So maybe the
even reiterates, what we're saying. Here's the deal for me. Winning your conference gets you an automatic bid. Getting to the tournament is reward enough without having to get a bye. You should those teams get in just like in the basketball tournament, right? And then at the end of the year, you put the top 12 rankings, and whoever's ranked in the top 12 that isn't conference champions, the next 8 get to get in, and then you reseed them and then make the bracket.
Yeah. Well, back to your question, how can they fix this thing? I think what's going to happen is all of these conference championship games are going to have to go away because you're already, we just said, if you make it to the playoff, you just added 4 games to your season, whereas typically you would have added, before the playoffs, all of them, you would have added 1 for the bowl. And with the 4-team playoff, you would have added 2 games.
Right.
All right. So now you've added 4 to win it all. And effectively, Georgia, even though they're sitting in a bye week, they still had to play the same number of damn games.
Oh, absolutely.
The only team in the SEC that's going to have to play more games than any other SEC team, if they make it to the final, is Texas, because they had to play in the championship game.
Right.
So they're already 1 game more than everybody else if they make it to the final. So I think either get rid of the buys altogether. Just say, okay, we're going to play 6 on this weekend.
Well, that's going to happen first.
Yeah, probably.
They ain't going to get rid of. I mean, listen, if tickets are going for, what they're going for in Columbus,
okay, then,
and they're not going to get rid of that. That's the only reason those were made anyway.
Yeah,
for a cash grab by the conference. And Sankey, even as smart as he is, should not have pushed for 9 fucking games. He should went to 8 like everybody else, and then maybe.
You talking about 9 SEC games,
right?
Yeah, they're going to have to cut the season back or something, because they're going to have college players playing a full NFL season.
Well, and
you've got if you play 4 years in college and you're on a power team that like a Bama or somebody, you're going to end up playing a full other year.
Well, you're going to you're going to wind up doing that, or you're going to wind up, these kids are going to fucking set out.
Yeah, because
you think a national championship means a bag full of fucks to any of these kids when it comes down to, when they're looking at it like an NFL player is looking at adding 2 more games to a schedule? How much more money are we going to make? Because the players' union is not going to allow. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then either that, or guess what else? Portal's open. You might have a starter who doesn't feel like he's getting the right deal, and he may say, well, and we've had it. We've had 2 to do it so far. Now,
mid-season.
I don't think, yes, and right now, and I think he's a Nimrod, but Nimrod for Tennessee, and then there was another one. Now they don't. Nimrod does factor into our starting wide receiver group. The other one's not going to affect us that much. But what if you had 2 starters that weren't getting the looks or the touches or the whatevers, and said, LSU's wanting to pay me, whatever, $16 million a year to come to them, and he declares for the portal a week before or 3 weeks before you go into even though you got to buy. You know what I mean? I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That will happen. It's happened now.
And of course, those issues intertwine so much, but on the front end, they're separate, because we talk about this a lot and we should do a show on it, but the portal's got to change too. They're going to have to say, okay, you can switch this many times. Hopefully it's just 1, and you got to do it at the beginning or end of a season. You can't do it mid-season. And the season starts at this date and it ends on the last bowl game or championship game.
No, it has to be addressed.
It has to be, because they, and in their defense, God Almighty, in defense of the NCAA, they're in uncharted waters. They're trying to figure it out too. They try to keep athletes from getting, and it's their own damn fault, because if they had allowed athletes to earn some money instead of basically treating them like indentured servants for 100 years, they're getting an education. Well, how much is that education worth now? Post-COVID, not nearly as much.
And just the simple fact that, that's all, it's all a bunch of horse shit anyway.
Yeah.
They for years tried to talk about the student athlete. Come on.
Yeah.
It's all when about you get money. Back from Never Land.
Yeah.
in your meaningful conversation with Tinkerbell and the rest of the Lost Boys. I mean, come on.
So a point that you've made. Well, let's talk about her.
And the NCAA's to blame because they stuck their head in the sand. This topic came up 20 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And they just said, oh, it'll go away. It'll go away. It'll go away. Well, guess what? Dumb. It didn't go away.
Well, you along the point that you made about, you've talked about this several times when we have guests or whatever talking about being a professional musician, right? And your buddy said, well, do you get paid to do what you do? And you're like, well, yeah, you're like, well, you're a professional. Well, now there ain't no college athlete now. They're professionals. They're getting paid to play. They're getting, whether either directly or indirectly, because they play. These people are professionals.
And speaking of that, last night, all the NCAA teams released their 2025 schedules, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? Nobody gave a shit because everybody was wanting to know about Bill Belichick going to North Carolina. Didn't make a difference. Listen, they hadn't, you could have went and farted at the Oval Office in the middle of a peace treaty signing and nobody would have given a shit. And I'm telling you, that's what it's coming to, and this is a whole nother thing, and I'll make it real short and sweet, and we'll get back and we'll make our picks and wrap this up. But, recruiting is the draft, right? If we're talking about correlations between the big show and the not so, almost big show, professional athletes versus collegiate athletes. The draft in the professional world is going to be recruiting. NIL is going to be in the collegiate ranks.
Endorsements
are going to be salary cap. That's what I'm thinking. And then, because, regardless of how much money the A&Ms and Texas and Ohio States and the all well-to-do whatevers, there's going to be a cap on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and then, so recruitment and draft, salary cap, and NIL. And then you're going to have a GM that's going to oversee every bit of that. Did you see 2 weeks ago? Maybe you didn't. You might learn it here first. 2 weeks ago, Stanford hired Andrew Luck as the general manager over their entire athletic department. And we've also used this same analogy as well. Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, all of that was a 3-month destination out of the year. Then it became a 6 months. Then it became a 9 months. Then it became a 12 months. And that's exactly what's happened with. That's exactly what's going to happen with sports. You got Tennessee for years. We'll just take them for instance. Tennessee for years has been, football, right? That's who's made the money. Okay, the big licks. Well, then, lady softball kicked in a little bit. Lady vol basketball kicked in a little bit over the years. A little here. We got a college team that's made the CFP and has got 10 wins for the last 3 seasons after having scholarships revoked and taken away.
The first CFP.
Yes.
Big one.
And we've got men's basketball who are currently ranked number 1 and have
probably are number 1 too.
And have been coming for
years.
The last since Barnes got here. I mean,
And
we
even
had
before.
a little bit with Bruce.
Yeah.
But definitely we hired a basketball coach, you know, and they started becoming relevant. So guess what? Sold out stadiums, tickets, season tickets, can't get them. Baseball wins the national championship. Softball makes the super regionals. Men and women's reach quarterfinals in tennis. Volleyball makes the NCAA tournament, and soccer makes the NCAA tournament.
And not to take away from that list, and I know it's a different thing, but when I was at the game the other day, 13 national championships in cheerleading. Or some derivative thereof.
Right.
And, you know, I know people are cheerleading. Well, look, that's a scholarship athlete. Those people getting paid too.
Absolutely.
And
the girl that got the ball off the stuck on the rim for whoever the hell it was, Louisville or whoever, was one of the first NIL.
Absolutely.
To get NIL money off of that.
Hey,
T-shirts went crazy.
Listen, don't think for one damn second that the next step on these, because here's what we talk about this a lot, but NIL, blood and water, right? It's all
Absolutely.
These sharks that are into making money and do make money. They're going to play every angle they are. Did you know that? The I don't know if she is now, but the top NIL earner since all this started, or one of the top 2 or 3, is that Livy Dunn, gymnast from LSU. Well, here's the thing. She's pretty good, but she didn't make the Olympics good.
Right.
If she don't look the way she does and have the social media platform she does, she's not making that money, right? You don't think they're going to exploit that angle?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. NIL is going to be the new OnlyFans.
But my point being this is, you know, we've known for a long, long time as fans that it's a business. We've known for a long, long time that it didn't make a shit about the college athlete. You know, when you got players like Dexter Manley that couldn't fucking read, Herschel Walker couldn't say shit with a mouthful of
Still
it,
can't.
runs for office.
Still can't.
You know what I'm saying? So we've known that for years. We've all, you know, Eric Dickerson getting a gold Trans Am at SMU. You know, we've all known this.
Well, if you're going to give
years.
somebody a gold Trans Am, though, probably that guy's up there,
right?
You know?
But my point being, sports and the collegiate programs and the programs that are going to make a difference and be leaders in this wild, wild west age of everything changing. And I said this back when we sued the NCAA. Remember me saying this? I said, the reason we did that was to show kids that this was legal and that we were going to be forerunners of this NIL thing.
And we know our shit.
And we know our shit, and we're going to get you here and get you paid and get you to the next level.
Hey, man. All
That's
right.
exactly what Stanford just did with hiring Luck. Smartest guy on the planet. He's been there, done that, walked away from the game, knows the game. And it's exactly what they just did by hiring Belichick. They ain't been relevant since 1980. And that was because of a guy named Lawrence Taylor,
who was coached by Bill Belichick
there
in
you
NFL
go.
defense. Yeah, I was just thinking about what is up their sleeve.
know,
he's right now.
Right there's what's up their sleeve, that list.
Yeah, he is.
And guess what? And they got that Jumpman brand with Jordan's money.
That's right. Well, that's it, right? That's what I was going to say.
Damn straight.
You got Belichick now. They're going to be relevant immediately.
They were relevant. Yeah, they're already relevant.
Well, basketball, they've always been relevant.
Well, yeah, but
now,
correct.
You know,
now's your list to get into their women's soccer. I didn't know this till just today, but their women's soccer program, I think, has got more national titles
than any collegiate program. Period.
So now they're going to be kicking in.
Sure,
have been. Football's coming. That's relevant. Season tickets just went up, folks. If you're in Chapel Hill, then and there's you $1 million idea for whoever wants to do it. Start making cutoff hoodie sweatshirts in the light blue with Chapel Bill wrote on it in white letters. You'll make $1 million. You owe me some money. Don't forget. But that's exactly what they're doing.
He's the 5th highest paid coach in the country already.
Yeah.
8 coached it down. Fired a legend and hired another one.
Now, Mac, we're gonna go a younger route.
Yeah.
Mac was 73, Bill 72. Hey,
maybe he was talking about Bill's girlfriend.
Maybe. But
I don't know what good he'll be, but they are serious. They've got some.
Well, let me ask you this: at 18-year-old, and you got a Zoom call, and you got Coach Billy Bob Parker calling from Clyde Claude Fighting Possum University on the Zoom, and your mama comes in and says, Coach Belichick is on a Zoom call waiting for you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Tell me, motherfucker. You're going to sign the dotted line.
If I'm correct in saying that they hired Andrew Luck as a general manager, but not as the AD, correct?
Correct.
So are they going to hire Peyton Manning as UTs?
Well,
it wouldn't hurt. Would not hurt. I know he's kind of an ambassador for the university already, but
I mean,
we could talk about this for 6 weeks.
And in correlation, just real quick, the whole thing that Danny White come in here and started running this thing as the business it is.
Hey,
immediate relevance.
I don't know
immediate relevance.
I don't know who was in charge of hiring him, but good job.
Hell yeah, good job.
Best AD in the country, probably. At results. Hey, you could say you're the best, everything right there. It's
that list I read came from FanDuel. In case you're wondering if I'm just spouting this off and I believe my own
Boy,
stuff.
Don't you know the people at FanDuel since all this NIL stuff?
Tennessee.
Like, shit.
Hell yeah. Every guy that goes, hey,
how you doing?
How you doing?
Twitter.
Got to get the papers. Get the papers.
Tennessee. 2 times.
Yeah. From FanDuel, Tennessee has the best athletics program in the nation, and it's not even close. So there you go.
There you go.
That's what universities like Tennessee. Oh God, yeah. From paying them in fucking McDonald's and Sonic bags to everything's okay.
In 5 years.
In basically. 5 years' time. So my point to all of that, and I said we'd make it quick, and I got off on a tangent, but is you're going to have forerunners in this department, and you're going to have the leaders in this department. And by being proactive, like Tennessee was, and just saying, okay, well, you're still going to mess with us, then we're suing you.
That's right. Well, that changed the tone, didn't it?
Oh, hell yeah, it did. And then instead of being basketball, guess what? Let's make the start with this, with hiring Belichick. Hey, guess what? Oregon done the same thing and had been doing it for years with Phil Knight and Nike.
Arkansas.
And now it's above board. Jones. Arkansas with Jerry Jones and the Walmart family. Tyson Chicken went out and got calamari. Doing the conference games at Jerry World. And he needs to be doing something because the Cowboys suck
and have for 30 years.
J-Lo's got more rings since J-Lo's got more rings than the Cowboys did since 96. But that's what it's come to. And it's a business, and these teams and peoples and programs that are going to refer to it and treat it like that from now going forward are going to be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Period. Don't matter how much damn money you got. It's already proven Texas A&M had enough money, and I like Texas A&M. I was treated wonderfully by the fans of Texas A&M. I got nothing against that school. But it shows, obviously they got more money in God. Pay out Bimbo, pay off his 90-something million and then still spend, and they're above us in NIL. But they didn't win shit. You know what I mean? So it ain't just about that. It's about running this thing in a business. And guess what? Not only was he the greatest NFL coach of all time, but he's probably the greatest general manager of all fucking time too. What did Colorado do? Went and got Deion. Now it helped to have the son and the Heisman Trophy winner coming with him. But what did Deion do? Deion ain't the greatest coach. He's a CEO of a company. And that's exactly what they did. And guess what? In 1 year, now they're bowl eligible. Now it may be the sun-kissed who gives a shit bowl, but who gives a shit? They're relevant. People are talking about Colorado. People are buying Buffalo sweatshirts. People are buying Buffalo underwear. You know what I'm saying? For now. But
Deion's going to SEC. That's happening.
Is he?
Listen, they hired him because of who he is and not because of his coaching ability, right? Because he doesn't have a resume in coaching that's big enough to warrant a Division I.
But my point being, what did Deion do? He brought in the best staff that he could get.
Sure. No,
he surrounded himself with the best people.
He's a CEO. He's not a coach.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right. You're exactly right.
And that's what these programs and the ones that are going to be front runners and what we are going to eventually know is college football, because some smart guy gets paid a bunch of fucking money is going to get paid big money to say, you know what, this is what it is, and we got a name for it now, and we put a stamp on it. That's exactly what they're going to do.
And I'm surprised, and maybe it's because it's a fairly new thing, and I haven't researched enough. But I'm surprised that the NIL thing has not been more prominently talked about in the basketball world, because the term "one and done" came from basketball, not football. You can't be one and done in football.
Right?
You've got to be a certain age. So now to entice these players, this is a little bit of a tangent, but Cooper Flagg for Duke, right? He's already projected to be the number 1 draft pick right now.
Right.
Okay. So, and so a guy breaks his leg, he's number 5.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not keeping him. What's going to be the difference maker where a kid that's going to go sign and make $40 million, maybe, or more? How do you keep them? Well, you got to pay them. That's the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the other smart thing by them hiring Belichick is that program is now going to take the place of Calamari and what he did for those kids in college basketball, because Bill's going to teach them how to get to the NFL. That's going to be the selling point.
Yeah.
You want to play in the NFL? You want to you want to make some real money and do this for your professional life? We've got a program in place, and we're going to teach you how to do it.
And I coached Tom Brady.
Exactly.
And I got how many rings?
Yeah.
I've got 8, if you count the 2 Giants rings.
Right.
So,
who you got?
Tennessee 21-20.
Damn. All right.
Be close.
I'm going to say Tennessee 27-14.
I think that Tennessee.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to say 27-19.
19. That's a hard number.
That is a hard number.
I'm
going to stick with 14.
So the audience doesn't know this, but every time we pick a score.
Oh, yeah.
On FanDuel, we don't gamble, but you can put money on guessing the final score. So I put $5 each on our score guesses, and they're all on there. And they're weighted by what Vegas thinks they're going to be. So a 21-19 or something crazy like that would have a payoff of $5 of about $4,000. Probably because the odds are such against a 19 final score. So you said 27, what'd you say?
14.
27-14. It's like it's just like on a ball board. it's ball board in reverse, trying to pick the one shot deal. So we play around with that. So 21-20 or 27-14.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee's got them. You got two. I think that Tennessee, if they show up and they go to Ohio State and they handle business, Tennessee wins it all. The whole thing.
If Penn State would have had an offense, they'd have beat Ohio State. And if Nebraska would have had an offense, they would have beat Ohio State.
And if we'd had offense, we'd be undefeated, number one. That showed
Mr.
up.
Sunshine on my fucking shoulders on Denver over here.
I mean, you're talking about
I know.
Ohio State could have lost 3 games. Hell, we could have lost 4 easy.
Oh, absolutely.
We should have beat Arkansas. Who do you think's going to win it all? Like if you had to bet it, my what I said was if Tennessee shows up and goes to Ohio State and really handles them, I think they win it all. Okay, from the 9 spot. But if I'm putting money on who's going to win it all right now, I'm picking Georgia. That's the team I'm picking.
I'd have to go with Oregon.
Okay, well,
I mean, just cause
until next week,
Beck's out for the year, yeah, and I forgot about that, but I just don't. I have a lot of confidence in our team, and I have all the fandom in the world. And
it's nice to have confidence in them too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely!
I can't remember the last time I thought that we're going to win all the time.
Go in here and win.
Yeah.
No, it's really nice, but it's just going to be
a lot of games.
It's just a lot of games, man. It's being the wild card in the Super Bowl is what it is.
Yeah. After a grueling season that you've already just beat yourself to death over. They're going to have to adjust it because there certainly is a wear and tear factor. And especially with your running backs and I mean, we never talk about the line and how much pound, they just get pounded.
Car wreck every play.
Every play, yeah. So
here's a funny one to leave you on this. So there is I don't know, congressman, representative, who the hell ever, some dirty, crooked politician in Ohio that is putting a bill forward of the Ohio Good Sportsmanship Act. It would be illegal,
they legislate
and punishable by law for anyone to come into Ohio University or stadium and plant a flag. And I am not making that up. Look it up.
That's why you need Emmitt Smith to come and knock your ass off of there from putting in the flag. Or T.O. Remember that?
Yeah. So
or whatever he was doing. I think he was just standing in the star. But.
Yeah. But my word of advice to that would be try beating them. December 22nd, 7 to 9 p.m., 12th Annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. Be there or be square. We'll have merchandise. All proceeds will be benefiting Second Harvest Food for Kid, Second Harvest Food Bank's Food for Kids program. Jamie, you want to do another one?
Oh, yeah.
You heard it here first. One more for the good guys. Go Big Orange. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find.